So people are frustrated, and as you mentioned, the toll, the death toll, as well as the destruction is continuing to increase.
Right.
So it's a lack of leadership, lack of common sense, and people are frustrated. We'll be discussing the California wildfires all morning. But we do have a lot of major headlines to get to this morning. So let's get started with our Friday political panel. We're joined today by Elizabeth Mitchell. She's a reporter for the Daily Signal, and Daniel Littman. He's a White House and Washington reporter for Politico. Welcome to First Edition.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So, Elizabeth, first, wanting to get your thoughts on the government's response to the California wildfires. I guess the most asked question right now really is, why weren't there any water hydrants in the area? Why weren't the local leaders prepared?
Yeah, the reason why is that a lot of those fire hydrants got stolen shortly before the fires. And I think this really demonstrated to a lot of residents that California just really didn't have the infrastructure it needed to be prepared for these fires. The mayor, we know, had cut the fire budget by $17.5 million shortly before the fires. And people have said there's not enough pressure in the fire hydrants for the fire hydrants to put out all of the fires. And so it's clear that though these people in California are paying some of the highest taxes in the country, they still don't seem to be provided with the infrastructure and support they need to get through this disaster.
You know, Daniel, it's so frustrating. People have lost their homes. Still, many people are in hotels, being sheltered by friends and family, wondering about their homes, their personal belongings, because many of these people had to rush, flee safety on short notice. So many of them only have the clothing on their backs. Meanwhile, there have been reports of looting.
Yeah, there's several people have been arrested for looting. So in times like this is what happens sometimes, and hopefully those people are prosecuted to the full extent of the law. I will say about what you guys are saying is it's natural to look at, hey, could this have been fully prevented? But unfortunately, these fires are getting much worse and much more frequent in the last 10, 15 years. And so there was so much demand on these water hydrants that unless you have, you can't just, conjure up, millions or billions of more gallons of water. And so if it's a normal size fire, of course, those water hydrants will provide the type of water pressure that you need. But even if there was a Republican governor, Republican mayor who had totally good hydrants, there still would have been probably a devastating fire. And so that's why people are talking about how climate change is really worsening these types of fires. And that's one reason to address it.
But I hear you, Daniel, but based upon how they redesign their water infrastructure, a lot of the water is being directed into the Pacific Ocean. Mm-hmm. All you need to do is redirect that water. Some fish may die, I understand, but the death toll and the physical destruction of businesses and property, and many of these homeowners don't have home insurance. This is a huge catastrophe that the government, local government, as well as Biden, they're not doing everything possible.
Right.
But I think we'll see voters provide accountability to these types of leaders in the next
That's further
few
down
years.
the road. We need action now.
And also, insurance companies are not going to want to insure lots of houses in Pacific Palisades. It might be a desolate place for a long time.
Definitely.
True.
I mean, and why would they want to? They're going to go out of business and go bankrupt as a result of all this. But Elizabeth, this could have been prevented, though, to some extent. President-elect Trump was talking about increasing the water to the reservoirs, as well as stopping some of the eco initiatives, such as the one John mentioned with protecting the smelt fish, and that's why they basically redirected some of the water. But look at what we're seeing right now, the CO2 emissions because of all these fires. So all of these initiatives that the eco, quote unquote, warriors are promoting have had a complete and total backfiring on what we're seeing right now. And President-elect Trump is rightfully calling Gavin Newsom scum, because it was under his leadership that this occurred. And again, much of it could have been prevented or at least mitigated to some extent. What's your thought?
Yeah, people are losing everything. They're losing their homes, in some cases, even their loved ones. And meanwhile, the fact that it's even a consideration in the California allocation of water, the well being of a 3-inch fish called the smelt is just ludicrous. I cannot imagine living in California, seeing your home burning, and knowing that maybe there'd be enough water if things were a little bit different about the water distribution. And a factor on that is a 3-inch little fish.
Right.
It's completely ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
And the thing is that there are Hollywood elites as well as the working class. Both of those demographics are losing their properties.